I have recreated London Racer World Challenge in Unreal Engine 5, and it's taken years out of my life expectancy. Let me tell you all about it. So this was my first ever game in Unreal Engine. I had made a handful of games in the past that I will talk about towards the end of the video, but I decided to give this project a go because of the advent of AI. I had Claude Code create me some really good apps over on Android. I've had it decompile DevLex's NIF files, and after I saw some grift to talk about how AI created a game from scratch, including all of the assets, I thought, why not try having Claude create a whole game? The why not was because this project ended up taking far longer than expected. For example, 4 full days have been spent troubleshooting the opponents, and I still don't like how they behave. I had created a splice, basically a racing line for them to follow, great for piping in the ability to reset. However, there were massive problems with autonomy. The cars even now very obviously follow a set route, unless you hit them. They drive slowly, because otherwise they would go headfirst into any corner they see. There's no in between. Too fast and they become useless because they crash, or too slow and they become useless because they're too easy. I think I would have more fun trying to smash a brick with my forehead at full force than getting Claude to try making reliable rubber banding again. It is at a point now where they will overtake you if you crash, but otherwise stay out of your way. And to be honest, that's quite similar to the original game. Unlike the original game, they love to crash into each other. I am happy with where I got, but I was hoping that this project would be better than the original game with some real intelligence. Yeah, wishful thinking. But at least it's not worse, in my eyes anyway. Also, I did want to add cops and traffic. Jesus Christ, that was a pain as well. For the same reason as why the opponents are dumb. Getting autonomy to work was just near impossible. Traffic with a different thought approach could work. I could realistically create another splice for them to follow. But they add almost nothing to the original game. If you guys want it, I might add it in. But for now, I'm happy to leave it out. Another pain was the Edinburgh map. That was another 2 full days of work. Essentially, DevLex does some cheating within their maps. Some maps that have the same world object twice in different parts of the map will literally have it twice at different scales. The big bend that you see at the beginning is not the same as at the end. We created a simple manager that has me extract the objects manually, assign tags to them, and then create a zone that when you drive over, the object disappears. Awesome. But Edinburgh? At first, when I was making the Blender renders, I thought the NIF to object converter that Claude had created was broken due to Edinburgh being the only track with elevation. But that wasn't it. It took me about half a day to realize this. I thought the objects were scattered around randomly. I even discarded the idea that it was cooling, and it took me going back to Blender and flying around to realize that the track is incredibly tight in terms of object placements. You legitimately feel like you've made a lot of progress in that map, but you're actually just on the other side of the road. So that's why objects seem to be placed randomly and out of place, because they are if you look at them from the wrong side. That was another thing. Creating a cooling manager wasn't the annoying part. It was how hugely it would break the AI. When you got ahead, they would just stop driving, which was one of the reasons for the push to rubber banding. The second reason was that if they legitimately were stuck or slow on the other side of the road that you were on, they would enable collision, meaning you're hitting a building or any other geometry that needs to be spawned for the AI, since that geometry connects to the road, and even then I had other issues to sort out. Cooling limit too high? Geometry that you are not meant to see shows up. Set it too low? Pop in. Manually cooling the objects and manually placing all cool points? Risk of breaking the game, and manual effort. Ugh. Handling model wise, I took some creative liberties here. It's all well and good having the specs for how the cars behave, but without a reference of how DevLex's code for London Racer handled the handling, it was up to me to make the call. The pre-World Challenge games handled differently, with World Challenge having the vehicle brake and drift when you take a corner. You never have to press the brakes yourself. This is fun, and it's easy, but it's actually kinda boring. So I decided to have a pretty normal handling model, more similar to the likes of London Racer 2. But you can certainly use the handbrake to get the World Challenge like auto drifting. It definitely requires more skill than the original game, as you can probably see from this footage, but when you get the hang of it, it's pretty satisfying. I forgot the test track from Knight Rider is in World Challenge, which means I only missed 1 level. Well, unless we're counting Police Madness. I would have liked to include levels from the Polish devs, but these later games seem to use either encryption or compression, and with it being proprietary, I can't. Well, maybe I could get Claude to reverse engineer the files from Destruction Madness, but that would only get me the 1 German track, which as fun as it is, I don't think it's worth my time. Maybe at some point I can tackle extracting Police Madness files again, just not right now. The test track did already have a radio assigned from Autobahn Racer 4, though the game actually calls for Radio 1, the New York track. I have a feeling that this test track was meant to be set in Germany and not Nevada, but maybe that's just me making presumptions. Regardless, with the help of Vladik and some of my IRL friends, I created my own radio segment in the style of London Racer 2, which I'll play for you guys in full at the end. I know that some people feel icky about voice cloning, and I do totally understand. However, as mentioned during Davlex Overflow, the original voice artist for London Racer 2 is a complete mystery, as he was just an agency voice for hire. If the original voice actor ever reaches out, I would be happy to redo the voice lines with him, and set up a little interview or something. But I think this game are awesome. Vladik's tracks, especially the French drum and bass one, was straight out of London Racer 2. And likewise his knockoff scooter was really fun. In terms of the other audio, I had all of the highest quality versions on hand, with I think the exception of 1 or 2. So overall this is the highest quality radios that you will hear. On a final note, something I missed out of Davlex Overflow is that there are unused lines from the presenter. If I'm not mistaken, the narrator can read out at the end of a race which position you finished in, which I definitely do not recall. And there are 6 congratulations lines, though I only remember the one that I added into the game. I think there was an alternative winner line too? Yeah, I'm rebuilding World Challenge and I don't even remember the original game. Move past it. The cam materials weren't great, but I did get them looking quite good in the end. Reflective, but not over the top. I did like how the PS2 version rendered reflections for sure, but I think this is a decent compromise, and I like how the sun reflects off the car. At first, the game definitely looked like GTA Definitive Edition. Unlike that game's mobile release, I ended up heavily tweaking the post-processing to make the game look better, and I am so pleased with how it ended up looking. Both Blender and Unreal by default actually go for quite an overexposed look, so I was over the moon to find out that Unreal's post-processing is pretty much identical to that of Lumetri Color on Premiere. So my favourite part was editing the worlds to fit a vision that I have for how each city looks, something I do with my own raw images in Lightroom. This is pretty much the only time I got to be creative with this game, outside of the radio station, which I also enjoyed making. Even without these tweaks however, when I showed the initial progress to Adam, he said, "That's really surprising how much the lighting and rendering does. So much heavy lifting, cause even with simple models and low-res textures, it looks really nice." And I have to agree. While the cars look unique, shall we say, the environmental artists at Davlex absolutely cooked, and especially with the older lighting engine in the likes of London Racer 2. If not for the low-quality textures, especially in the US Racer tracks, and the slight uncanny valley nature of it all, I think the maps overall do look pretty realistic, or at least stylized. Oh, and the menu system took around 8 hours. Most of it, in fact a vast bulk, was due to Claude having awful machine vision. It was really funny at first, seeing it make a mess of things, but it did get boring after a while. But hey, most of the original game's menu was INI based, so it was smooth sailing afterwards. Scarily so. And we got mostly redone assets from WA. With the exception of the track images, since I want to preserve the originals, and the vehicle ones are small enough that it's fine. A phase that was there from the beginning was the ability to reuse the code in order to rebuild my own Maluch Racer remastered. So here it is, Maluch Racer World Challenge, a separate game mode that lets you drive the maps and cars from the K-Tech games. I left it pretty close to the original game, i.e. there are less physics objects that you're able to hit. Because of the way the World Challenge career mode is rendered, it does mean that I was not able to add the tracks to that, but I'm happy with it staying as its own game mode. The lackluster speed of a Maluch also really makes these tracks feel far bigger than they really are, which is quite fun. The longest track in a Ferrari will take me around 3 minutes, and the shortest around 30 seconds. With the Maluch Racer 2 tracks specifically, due to them having multiple routes in the original game, I had to get creative with the fact that we do not have the direction arrows. So if you see white lights followed by green, slowly turning to red, those are the checkpoints. They ruin the aesthetic of some maps, but it's that or nothing. The aesthetics though, man, I really cook with these maps, if I can toot my own horn. Some tracks use similar post-processing to that of World Challenge, and some are just a good blend of distant fog and sun placement. So, a bit of creativity here, and a bit of realism here. Overall, the total time spent was around 100 hours. Was it worth it? I mean, for the most part, I'm happy with the result. There are still bugs I need to fix. Don't bother with the ramps, for example. They don't work. You will just hit them like they're a solid object. There's still a lot of work to do, but the base game is done. It got to the point that each day I was drinking 2 cups of coffee, an energy drink, and even then I was having a massive headache and could feel my eyes pulsating. I had a dream on Saturday that I missed out on someone's birthday and their birthday party due to me being on the computer all day building this game. I'm glad I found out you can put Claude into auto mode, though unfortunately most of my birthday time off was spent staring at the screen and pressing enter to continue the prompt, as I didn't know they could go into auto mode at the time. So that was a waste of precious time off, and it made me feel so mentally drained, since I couldn't do anything but doom scroll as I awaited the next enter button command. It also taught me perseverance. Because of sunk cost fallacy, the fact I already made it public that I'm doing this, and because of spending $100 on Claude, I had to continue instead of giving up when I thought it was being stupid and wasting my rare free time. So yeah, though at least progress did pick up significantly once Opus 5 dropped. It was common to have so many code rebuilds due to Opus 4.8 making mistakes that he eventually started apologizing and then giving up, while Opus 5 would make far less mistakes, and efficiently fix any it made. I almost wonder if I could have gotten better opponent code, and the ability to add police or traffic with Opus 5, but I'm past it now. Maybe in the future it's something I'll look at. Also with Claude, especially with 4.8, clearing the chat was like speaking with someone completely different, as sometimes it would decide not to read the relevant context that would be left behind, and therefore make stupid decisions like rewriting code, or forgetting a very basic thing about the game's layout. I genuinely thought it's over when 4.8 said that it cannot connect to Unreal, and then started writing really dodgy C++ code, and then said that being unable to connect to Unreal was a common documented issue. 5.0 at least spotted the mistake. 4.8 was making illegal calls and therefore nothing would return. Classic. In a way, it is really cool that less than 2 weeks is all it took to make a full game, minus the time that would go into creating assets that I obviously did not make. It was also a great exercise for me. I obviously just came out of reviewing a lot of games that I called shovelware, and moaned about Unreal Engine 4, so it gave me a new appreciation for what goes into a video game. Next time I play a game and think the opponents are stupid, I will think back on how bad my own game's opponents are, and how difficult it is to make AI. So I welcome you to try out the game and let me know what you think. And likewise, please let me know if there are any major bugs that I need to look out for. Or frankly even minor, just let me know. But if you encounter any game-breaking bugs, or don't want to go through it, it's completely fair. I don't really like it much in the original game either. Press F10 and you will unlock everything. Now, I would like to talk about the games that I've made in the past, since otherwise I'll never find a reason to. My first ever game was created in maybe around 2011. It was a Pong knockoff made in Game Maker. I followed a tutorial, but for some reason each paddle behaves differently. One gets stuck, other bounces up and down. Next game I believe was a Slenderman game, running on a knockoff of the Wolfenstein 3D engine, recreated by someone else in Game Maker. I actually quite liked it, but promptly lost the game files and could not find that engine again. Oops. Next game afterwards gained me a tiny bit of popularity and score, though not for long. Super Parkour Jump. It has an original character that I created on the back of a sheet of paper in one of my lessons. The game was created in stencil, mostly from free assets on their marketplace, though I did make some of my own sprite sheets. It's a flash game where, yeah, you gotta make the jumps. Super Mario Bros. Style. The reason I say it gained me a tiny bit of popularity and died off was because of the brutal difficulty, especially for anyone who hasn't played platformers before. I made an easy mode. I redid the stages multiple times, but by the time I did this, people would rather get on with their work than ask me to plug my USB stick in and run the flash file. I had Adam round a while back and even he struggled to complete the game. But I spent so damn long on that game that even around 13 years after its release, my muscle memory is still there. Let me know if you'd be interested in playing this game, and I would love to get it up on the Flashpoint database if I knew how to do that. Next was a game called Lamppost Simulator from the tail end of 2014, and this was my first Unity game. Made with a bunch of free assets and no code of my own, this game was made as a parody of the simulator genre of games that were popular around this time. And because I was, and still am, a sucker for low pressure sodium lamps, I even made a whole video script about this game, even though the whole parody aspect was only thought of after the fact. I was just happy to mess around with Unity. Fun fact, default camera code had a nasty bug where in some levels, you weren't able to look up or down. This bug persisted into every Unity game I've created. Adam and I had also created a sweet DVD cover for it, and I did do a limited physical run for this game amongst my friends. I believe at this point I was making a horror game, Slenderman style. I played a very basic horror game on Android that is long lost, and I fell in love with this map, even if it was just basically Unity asset flip like my games. I had recreated this horror idea multiple times, but it never really stuck around. In early 2015, I had created 2 demos of the same project I had done today, London Racer outside of NetImmerse. Well, I was confined to US Racer due to the PC US Racer files being so basic that Nifscope fully supports them, since afterwards Devilex started modifying the engine. This looks like ours, and it always looked like ours. Firstly, I could not get the materials to import, so I had to go into Nifscope and with Snipping Tool, crop each building. I then assigned that image to some rectangles. This took an eternity. The default vehicle controller was incredibly basic and felt pretty terrible to drive. I gave it a second attempt where I used textures from the internet and assigned materials to the world, but this looks equally blah. I was disappointed, but I knew there was nothing I could do. Next up was a game called Alex and the Quest for Faster Than Light. This game is basically full of inside jokes from that specific period of time in my life, so I won't try to explain it. But this game was kind of iconic to me due to this level. I found this cool Art Deco inspired map somewhere on the internet, but within Unity I could not get the materials to get attached to the object file, so I made the game set at night, which meant needing a lot of light sources, more than my PC could handle at the time. It took many years until I could actually play the game at 60 FPS. I think 2020, when I subscribed to a computer in the cloud, to create another game, and to play Flight Sim. With this game, this is the first time I've written code, and by that I mean I followed a YouTube guide on how to count collectibles. There was no logic, I just had to trust the player that they collected the right amount of items to proceed, and because you were meant to enter the same place that you spawn at, if you hit the down arrow, you basically speedrun the game in 1 second. Next game takes us to Suicide Squad. No, nothing to do with the film, although it was named after the film, as I saw the posters and stuff for it everywhere. And since 2016 was peak edgy internet time, me and my friends all joked about game ending ourselves, as Paracynical used to say. So yes, like Alex and the Quest for FTL, this was an inside joke game between me and my friends, with the premise being that each person gets their own stage. Unfortunately, many of the game had been lost, with only an alpha build remaining, with a handful of levels. However, in 2020 I decided to remaster this game. Most of my friends got a level dedicated to an inside joke of theirs. Explaining inside jokes is like talking about dreams, so I won't dwell, but there are very stale memes, a museum of the best moments of my friendship group, old levels making a return, real life nostalgic places, and of course, mostly done with free assets. Well, that's it for this video. I'm going to end off with the radio segment that I made for track 17, the test track. But yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for checking out this game if you have, and I'll see you for the next video.
Isn't it a wonderful day today? I'm here on a top secret test track, watching the races that I'm sure you've seen all around Edinburgh and London. We've even had a few complaints about them. Leo, I heard you had a bit of a miserable experience.
I was down by Buckingham Palace to see the Queen. I was crossing the road. A driver in a blue Clio nearly ran me over. I tried to get out of the way, but then nearly got hit by another driver. There needs to be a stop to this.
Well, sounds like everybody's safe. Keep up the good driving, lads. And now we'll keep up the good music. That was a song that you may be familiar with. An update from our top secret test track. The drivers are keeping up a good pace, and the race has been pretty tight. Just a few more laps to go. More updates after the commercial.
Are exams getting on your nerves? Do you want to punch your boss in the face? Flipped out at the sight of an unwashed plate? We've got the solution. Take a chill pill. The chill pill is a patented, copywritten and trademark pill that can cure your anger and anxiety. Just one pill every 2 femtoseconds is enough to calm your nerves and help you relax. Sorry, boss. That's the chill pill effect. May contain asbestos. Do not consume if heavily pregnant or intoxicated. Side effects include anxiety, pain, stress, mesothelioma, loss of bodily functions, heavy metal toxicity, inability to apologize, neurotoxin. Take a chill pill.
Wow, did you see that? One of the cars has just spun out. That's going to cost them some time. We've got that on video, right? Producer says maybe. Okay. While he's rewinding the tape, here's the latest hit from Germany that we are playing exclusively for the first time in the UK. Here's the up-and-coming artist, Mobility Scooter, with their track Weekday. What did you think? I thought it was pretty good. Our caller Jamie seems to have some thoughts.
Yeah, it was really sick, Moss. It really made me want to go down to the nightclub and get some kit.
Well, buddy, gonna have to stop you there. We can't be talking about these things on the radio, even if I do think you're right. But just for you, how about we spin up another track of theirs? Okay, that's the race nearly wrapped up. It was a lot of fun watching the races. My producer told me that this test track was originally used for training a shiny black car. Not just any car, but one that can jump, talk, and drive all by itself. I don't know about you, but that sounds like madness!